Hey everybody, Adam here, head judge for Frontline Gaming, 40K events. Coming with a few reminders for the LVTT happening this coming weekend. One of the big things is you notice is we are using the NTL FAQ mainly. What it is, it's a collaboration between us and a bunch of other major events and major event organizers that want a more standardized FAQ for for the United States, if not North America. So that will be the standard FAQ we will be using outside of the GW FAQ. You can still send questions to me at headjudge@frontlinegaming.org, and I will respond with an answer. I'll keep those answers on hand for each event so that I don't forget that I answered them. For those who have looked, there is a few issues. There's one, especially number 19, that has to do with triggering. We For those that don't know, in the past, we have allowed multiple reactions to triggering. So if someone shoots at a unit, at a tank, let's say, at a vehicle, they're allowed to use armor of contempt and smoke launchers stratagems to at the same time. Games Workshop has ruled that you can only use one. So in order to be more consistent with what Games Workshop seems to want, we're ruling that you can only react to one trigger with one reaction. That has brought up a few instances of questions regarding things like blood surge and things like that. I believe there's some clarification in that. It's question number 19 in the general questions, in case you're wondering. If you look at the NTL FAQ, so just be aware of that. And if you may want to look it over if you haven't before, just before going into the weekend. It was updated, I believe, today, which is Sunday, the day I'm recording this. So after Monday, it shouldn't be updated. It'll be updated about every few weeks or as needed. So probably after the Palm Springs Open over in next week, in the 18th, the weekend of the 18th and 19th, essentially. And so it'll be updated more frequently than the Games Workshop FAQ and balance data slate. So, and it's mainly for clarifications, not necessarily rules changes. Ideally, I'm not going to say there won't be, because you never know, depending on the situation. But this is where we're going from now on. So there'll be no longer be a FLG FAQ. There'll be the NTL FAQ, which applies to all FLG events, whether it's teams or singles. And but you can still email me with questions that are not covered in the NTL or the GW FAQ. Also, as a reminder, don't forget to turn in your lists. Lists are due the end of day Monday, so 11:59 p.m. Pacific time, I believe. I can't remember. I'm always bad with my time zones. But be sure everyone has their lists in. If you have any issues with lists, just email me again at headjudge@frontlinegaming.org, and I'll take care of it. If you have a player drop all of a sudden at the last minute, you can fill it with someone else. However, you still can't have the same army as somebody else or have the army on hand so they can just take over that army. If not, there is the option of playing the same army twice, but if you do that, you'll most likely play a game down. So you already start with one game with a 0-20 score. This is just so that you can't get an unfair advantage by somebody being sick, and now you get to bring two of the most powerful armies in a team format. So I'm not saying anyone would do that, but just in case that happens, either have somebody bring the army even if they're not going to be there, so somebody else can just play it, so they get some points, or have somebody come on with one of the armies that you haven't used yet. That's my advice. Also, as a reminder, to check in the day before, which is Friday, whether it's at the venue itself or on BCP. Make sure you check it on BCP Friday or Saturday, Friday evening or afternoon, Saturday morning. That way we can get pairings done as soon as possible and we get started on time. And if you haven't turned in any model or proxy submissions, be sure to do them quickly. I will probably cut off after list submissions, which will Monday or Tuesday. But I think right now I am all caught up both with questions and with proxy and conversion permissions, so that should be fine. Again, don't forget, bring snacks, drinks, water, comfortable shoes. If you have a mat to stand on, bring a mat because that always helps. I don't know. I know where the event is. I don't know if it's cement like the convention center that LVO had this past October. If it is cement, you may want to bring something to stand on, some type of mat or something, because you're going to be there for a few hours. At least on day one, it's going to be a long day. Day two, it's only 2 games, so it should be a bit more relaxed. But make sure you bring something to make it more comfortable for your feet and for your knees, especially for some of you older gentlemen like me. But so just be prepared for that. For the later games, make sure you have somebody or have somebody get you something. And that's basically it off the top of my head. Of course, as always, I'll think of something at the very end. So if there's a quick edit, we'll see. But that's really it. Not much to it. It's a lot of you have been to FLG events before, so it's not something that we've done any different. I believe we are using the differential scoring. It's a modified differential, so it's a 0-20 scale. If you're not familiar with it, you can just look up any WTC scoring or any WTC, anyone that's played in a WTC format or a differential format can let you know. It's not that hard. It really is just depending what the points difference between you and your opponent is, how you share the 20 points. So if you're within 5 points, it counts as a draw. So you each get 10 points out of that 20. The more it tilts towards player A, let's say, the more shares of that 20 points they get. And that means the less that you'll get, or player B will get of there. So it goes from 10-10. And let's say player A starts to score higher. So every 5-point differential is about another point. So you're looking at 10-10, 11-9, and that means player B loses a point. So it's 10-10, 11-9, 12-8, 13-7, 14-6, up to 19-1 or 20-0. At 20-0, it's about a 50-point win, basically. So, and don't forget to not just concede. You want to get as many points as possible because you don't know how far you're behind. You could be losing your game, but your teammates could be winning their games, and that extra point or two, even if it's a 19-1, 18-2 loss for you, that extra 1 or 2 points could be those 1 or 2 points that goes from a tie to a win for your team. So be sure not to concede, because when you concede, it's most likely a 20-0 for your team, against your team. So your team gets 0 points instead of, how many points you're able to scrap together by keeping it under 50-point differential. So just keep that in mind when you're playing. That's also something to do. Coaches are allowed to tell them the status of games. They can't really tell them what to do, but they can tell them, hey, this person lost, this person won. You need to score this many points. You need to score that many points. But you can't tell them, hey, move that there, move that there. You can't give them essentially work direction. You can let them know the situation, but you can't tell them how to play, basically. So just keep that in mind. Other than that, just be there on time and have fun. I'll see everybody on Friday, which is when I should be in by Friday afternoon. And have a good evening. Talk to you guys later. Bye.